morning, you guys. It's 7 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. I'm like chilly this morning. I'm heading off to Pilates after this. And I wanted to, first of all, acknowledge all of my 4th of July people who had a lot of fun last night. I just want to say 4th of July is like one of those moments where you just get to stop and realize, like, wow, like we have this ability to be able to create what we want. And I remember when I came to America from Vancouver, Canada, and I remember coming here and not being allowed to work. And I remember literally sitting on the floor of my bedroom with $500 in my pocket. And it's actually $500 in an envelope that I had hidden in my closet. And I remember sitting on the floor going, oh my gosh, like if I could work, like I could create anything that I wanted to. And the blessing of that moment was actually the blessing of realizing how much of a privilege it is to have the ability to create what it is that we want, the ability to actually work. And I think we are in a society now, and I even see this with my son, like as my son, I consider, is growing up in a privileged home. And I stop and I catch myself babying him too much, like let him work through, figuring out how to do up his button, or let him struggle a little bit more. And I think that we've taken so much struggle out of our life that we often don't realize, like, why do we get tired? Why do we get, why do we actually like even buy into some of these emotions that we have that just take us out of the game? Because at the end of the day, here's what I'm really clear about. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. I have had so much, I don't know if it's the age I'm at or what it is, but like so much, death and, friends, families' deaths, and like, friends having heart attacks, and just it's actually absolutely insane to me. But it's like, I think I'm just moving into that season of my life that those things are happening. And what it's doing is giving me the same benefit that I had when I sat on my floor in Las Vegas as a Canadian, not being allowed to work in America, thinking work is a privilege. It's giving me the same jolt where I'm like, I don't want to waste today. And I'll be really honest with you, like, I love being a mom, but it doesn't define everything that I am. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought it was adorable when my son came up this morning, and the couch back there, he brought his pillow and he laid down on his pillow on the couch, because I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. And I'm happy that I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, by the way. It wasn't because of being couldn't sleep or anything like that. It was because I had a commitment and a vision with my husband this morning. And my husband took off and went to Alaska, and he's gone fishing with his dad. And it's like I had a commitment with my husband to start the morning together. And it's like, I could have woken up going, ugh, I'm tired, I'm this, which I think that people do all too often. That's kind of the message that I want to say. Like, I can't even sit. Like, I'm fucking thankful that I have this energy inside me. Excuse me for using the F-bomb, but like, I'm thankful that I have this energy inside me. And this energy doesn't just happen, like they say, like, the energy, we lose our energy as we get older, right? Like I hear these comments all the time, and I look at, like, my mom and dad, and, they're off like hiking Machu Picchu, and they're like, in Greece for 4 weeks with like 7 of their friends, and they're taking off, they're going to Panama and like all these other places coming up, Croatia, and they're pushing in their 80s, and you would never know it. Like, they outperform most, 30-year-olds as far as like, their energy level. And I do think it's a choice, but I think when we say it's a choice, I think it can ruffle some feathers, and I'm okay with ruffling feathers, because at the end of the day, if we wake up together, we're going to have a better life together. And when I say that energy is a choice, here's what I mean. I don't think like you just wake up and you're like legitimately exhausted, right? And you're like, shit, like I'm exhausted, like, and you're like in that energy or stressed out because of whatever reasons. I mean, let's be honest, money is like a major stressor. And it's crazy to me because when you stop, and if you really believed that you could create something you wanted, right? So like when I was in corporate America, and I worked for my last job, I worked for 6 months for free, building a division. I'm not saying that was the smartest thing on the planet. I'm saying I was led by a vision, and the vision was to give. And, you know, even inside of Heartcore, we have like these contests and stuff like that for the zone event and all these things. It's like, you know, I listen to people, and it's like, I was actually talking to one of our clients, Julie, last night, and it was like, we're talking about like, even inside the contest, it's like you have a contest to make a difference, or you get focused on your to-do list. Like, this world is consumed with their to-do list. And what I've realized is the energy doesn't come from my to-do list. In fact, my to-do list will exhaust me. The energy to give, or the energy to show up in life, comes from this energy of contribution. At the end of the day, if you listen to anybody that talks about messaging and knows what the heck they're talking about messaging, they will talk about meaning. And the meaning is never about you. It never is. It's actually much deeper than that. It's about knowing that your life mattered. It's about knowing that, like, on this planet, you made a difference. But yet we get completely tempted to follow our to-do list all the time. And the to-do list is the thing that actually prevents us from connecting. It's the thing that actually has us go, oh, I'm going to give up my business to be a mom or be a parent, or, you know, I'm exhausted, so I'm going to have a crappy day. And it's like, no, like, you know, I hate the word like, what's your why? Because that's still even about you. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to figure out what your why is, which is all about you, to then get past your why and get into the real meaning of your life. You know, your legacy is it's further than your goals. Like, your goals, I was telling our marketing mastery group this the other day, like, your goals are bait. They're bait for your legacy. Like, if you actually knew how big your life could really be, like the impact you could be, and by the way, it's not going to be as a solo entrepreneur. Okay. Like, it's not going to be as a VP of a division. Like, it's not going to be that. It's going to be the group of people that you surround yourself with. And are you bought into the mission? You know, I'm going to talk in two places right now. If you're an entrepreneur leading a mission, and you're like okay with people just showing up and clocking a clock and doing their admin and their check their boxes on, send out the emails, like, you know what I mean, like work, like their to-do list, then you're sadly missing the opportunity to create a legacy and a movement with the gift that you were given as the role as the CEO or the role as the entrepreneur. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. They're not. Like, they're just not. There's a lot of people who look like entrepreneurs, but they're not cut out to be entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs can endure pressure on a different level. Entrepreneurs really don't do it for the money. They don't. They actually, when you listen to them, it's about something that is transforming the world. It has nothing to do with financial freedom. You know who it has financial freedom has to do with? The ones that are replacing their jobs. And I would say you might want to consider looking at maybe jumping into a movement that you could get behind, because like creating freedom has nothing to do with your to-do list, and it is not like you won't create freedom. Hear me. You won't actually create freedom if you got into the job to create freedom. Now, I use freedom all the time on my marketing. I use financial freedom. I use like, let me help you access freedom. You know why? Because it's the first place and bait that God can tempt you into. But the truth is if you don't get beyond that much quicker, then you'll never actually access freedom. You see, the whole game is about contribution. You know, I was saying to one of our clients the other day, I said, you know, inside of our community, I'm obsessed with teaching generosity everywhere. I'm obsessed with it because these entrepreneurs want me to show them how to create the results in life, yet they get caught up in their to-do list. And then listen to me for a second. Just let this land for a second, because this is huge. If I got caught up in my to-do list, there's a client that would not be a client right now. There's someone who was a client of mine. She had a couple months where she was doing $100,000 a month. She was on track for rocking it. She was taking all the coaching. She was doing endurance training. She was doing everything, right? And she was taking all the coaching and started hitting incredible cash flow months. And then what she did is she thought, like, she got tempted to go somewhere else No pressure on that. That's fine. Follow it. You know what I mean? She got tempted because she thought she needed something else, right? Like she needed something else. And so she got tempted to go hire another coach who she got privately as a private coach. And then I started hearing 6 months later, 7 months later, that she couldn't pay her mortgage or she couldn't pay her rent. I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. Now, if I was consumed with my to-do list, I wouldn't have talked to that person 4 times over 2 weeks. And let me tell you something. I literally did not have time. Like, I did not have time. I mean, you'll never hear me complain about my business. But in that moment, I remember saying to my husband, I seriously do not have time to help this person. Like, the company was growing massively. I had a bunch of new clients. I had to focus. I felt like I was underperforming as a mom in that moment. Like there was a lot hitting me at the same time. And I chose to be generous, not because of her coming back to the community. I never made her an offer. Excuse me. I never made her an offer. It wasn't about that. It was about pure giving. And now she's back inside the community. Okay. So now you're looking at, I ended up with a $50,000 client or 30,000. I don't know if she paid 30 or 50. But she's 30 or $50,000 client just because of giving and never having to make an offer. I can tell you another person, like there's another person who did a VIP day with me, and it's not part of the VIP day to continue to Voxer me. And they're Voxering me and have been Voxering me for a couple months now. And I'm always there to give on the Voxer. And so you guys, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't have time to do those things, but I do. You know why I do? Because everything else in my life gets taken care of when I show up and do that. It's like a miracle. I mean, it really is. It's like the things that were on my to-do list that seem so uberly important somehow either go away or get handled. But the truth is that your life and my life is meant to be generous. Our meaning comes from connecting with other people. My clients always hear me say connection is currency. Like if a campaign's breaking down, like your webinar's not working or your emails are not working, or your messaging's not working, it's because you're not connected. And we don't connect up here. We connect here. And when we actually make a difference for someone, there's like a breath that comes inside of us. And that breath has us write better copy. That breath has us jump on and do better lives. That breath has us show up in a way that is very supernatural. It's spiritual. And that's not something we can teach you. It's something you have to have enough faith to go out there and give to. It's something that you have to actually just trust and do it. And I know that there's a lot of trust issues out there in the world. I know. And I also know there's a lot of people who know this information, that you receive what it is that you give, but they don't give long enough and pure enough to actually get that kickback. You know, and this isn't even like someday. I often have launches going on inside my company. It's like if you were to interview anybody in my company, they're never going to say that there's ever really a slow time in hardcore. Like it's just not where our company is. I'm ambitious. I'm driven. I really want to change the world. And I'm going and 12 months out of the year, I'm going. And even the month that I take off in December, I still have things in place that are going. And so like, it never stops. And so, but my friendships and the people who need me are not on my timeline. They're not on your timeline. Meaning that they're not good. Have you ever noticed like when it's time to give, when it's time to contribute, it's never like when you have all this open space, right? So what do you do like when someone that you care about, right? Like, I had a friend call me up, Pete Vargas calls me up, and he goes, he was doing a launch that was like the most important launch he'd ever done. He was putting it all in. And I was in the middle of my own launch. And I stopped and I gave to his launch in the middle of my launch. Do you think that hurt my launch? For sure. It probably did. But then he came back around and looked at me, not right after, a few months later, and said, Shanda, would you put together a speaker's reel? And although like all these people, like all these people that you follow online, like Russell and, I think Marie, uh, a digital marketer, like all the top people, like go and hire them. And he's like, let me just do it for you for free. Now, I don't give to get like that. But what I do know is that there's something really spiritual or supernatural about how connections come together. And it's like, if we're living in scarcity, I guarantee you it's because you're working a to-do list versus like having a meaningful list of actually looking up and not even just by accident giving when people come to you, but actually creating that flow, that energy push inside your life. Now, I am not the esoteric coach. Like I don't talk esoteric like this on a regular basis, but it is the secret sauce to having things work. And so I see people go out there and teach spiritual work around being better people and, the flow and God. And then they have opportunities to give in like our Bring a Friend contest and things like that. And it's like they don't. They don't because they're busy on a launch. And the reason why I'm having this open conversation right here, right now, is because building the career you want, building the movement that you want, whatever role you play, whether it's a VP, admin, the entrepreneur, you're just playing a role. You were just like, nothing is yours. You're just playing a role. And so how you play that role, if you want that role to get easier, then shift the heart from the to-do list into the to-give list and start operating like that. And just trust me on this. If you do that in an intense amount of time, meaning that 3, 4, 8, 10 weeks, where you put your whole life on the line to give, what's going to happen is these supernatural connections are going to come in. We watched a client go over $1 million because of this. We have seen people, find the right salespeople because of this. We found people literally like, have cash come into their life because of this. I mean, it never stops, but where you're wanting is not going to come in by you pushing. It's going to come in by you actually like adopting this way of life, way of being. And what will happen is things will start to connect together. So I know that sounds super esoteric, but I'm saying, like, for the next 5 weeks of your life, track it on a calendar and literally like dedicate your life to just giving and actually look for ways to give and chart yourself, grade yourself, and see how the areas that you're lacking in, that you're wanting these holes to be plugged, see how they show up and get plugged. See how they do. And I'm going to leave it at that. You guys, your greatest legacies are beyond your goals. They're past that point. Your goal is just a bait to get you in the game. The thing that you really want is connected to contribution. And you don't contribute when you have enough. You contribute when you don't have enough. And then what happens is all those holes get plugged. God bless your day. Here's to you absolutely giving at a level that you've never given before and dedicating your life to be that type of leader, because that's how Martin Luther King created a movement. That's the type of heart that Mother Teresa has had. That's the type of heart of the people that you follow and want to be like. And so if you think that, you're attracted to them, like you're attracted to the Brene Browns and people like that, because of the heart that they have. A movement doesn't get created because of an effing viral video. So get out of your to-do list and put yourself in an emotional state that you actually dedicate today to giving. Track yourself that way and see what happens. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for giving me the space to share. Bye. I'll see you on Coffee with Shanda tomorrow morning. Actually, that's not true. It's the weekend. I'll see you on Coffee with Shanda on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, you guys.